The morning rain streaked down the windows of the small coffee shop as Emily Parker stood in line, her nurse's uniform still crisp despite the early hour. At 31, she had been an ER nurse for 8 years, and the morning coffee run before her shift had become a sacred ritual. The calm before the storm of a 12-hour day saving lives. The man ahead of her in line wore military fatigues and carried himself with the bearing of someone accustomed to discipline and duty. When the barista rang up his order, Emily heard him quietly ask if they accepted payment plans, then apologize and say he would just take water instead. Without thinking, Emily stepped forward. "I've got his coffee," she said to the barista, pulling out her card. "And add a breakfast sandwich to that order." The soldier turned to her, surprise and embarrassment crossing his face. "Ma'am, you don't need to do that." "I know I don't need to," Emily said with a warm smile. "I want to. Thank you for your service. It's just coffee and a sandwich. Please let me." The man hesitated, then nodded with quiet dignity. "Thank you. That's very kind." They collected their orders, and Emily was about to leave when the soldier spoke again. "I'm stationed at Fort Campbell, just passing through on leave. I'm supposed to be meeting someone here, but I'm early. Would you mind if I sat with you for a few minutes? I promise I'm not trying to be forward. I just haven't had a real conversation with a civilian in 6 months, and you seem like good people." Emily checked her watch. She had 20 minutes before her shift. "I'd like that. I'm Emily. Marcus," the soldier said. And they found a table by the window, over coffee. Marcus told her he had enlisted at 18, served 3 tours overseas, and was currently on a 2-week leave before deploying again. He spoke about his unit like they were family, about the satisfaction of serving something bigger than himself, about the challenge of transitioning back to civilian life during brief leaves. "What about you?" Marcus asked. "What's your story?" Emily told him about her work as an ER nurse, about the exhaustion and the fulfillment, about saving lives and losing them, about finding purpose in being present during people's worst moments. They discovered they shared a similar worldview. Service mattered, helping others was its own reward, and material wealth meant little compared to doing work that made a difference. "I need to get to my shift," Emily finally said, noticing the time. "But this was really nice. Thank you for the conversation." "Thank you for the coffee and the company," Marcus said, "and for reminding me that there are still good people in the world who do kind things without expecting anything in return." Emily left for her shift, thinking about the soldier with the kind eyes and the quiet strength, not knowing she would see him again that very afternoon. She was in the middle of treating a patient when the ER doors burst open and paramedics rushed in with a man on a stretcher. Vehicle accident, multiple injuries, possible internal bleeding. Emily's training took over, and she was halfway through the intake assessment when she recognized the patient. It was Marcus, unconscious and badly injured. The paramedics explained there had been a multi-car pileup, and Marcus had pulled 2 people from a burning vehicle before collapsing himself. For the next several hours, Emily worked with the trauma team to stabilize Marcus. He had a concussion, broken ribs, and internal injuries that required surgery. Through it all, Emily found herself silently praying for this man she had just met. This stranger who had bought coffee that morning and then risked his life to save others that afternoon. When Marcus finally woke up 2 days later, Emily was in his room checking his vitals. His eyes fluttered open and focused on her with confusion and recognition. "The coffee lady," he said, his voice hoarse. "Did I die? Is this heaven?" Emily laughed despite her worry. "You're very much alive, though you gave us a scare. You've been unconscious for 2 days. Do you remember what happened?" "Car accident," Marcus said slowly. "There were people trapped. I had to get them out. You saved 2 lives, Emily said, but you nearly lost your own in the process." Over the following week, as Marcus recovered, Emily found herself stopping by his room more often than strictly necessary. They talked about everything and nothing, finding an easy companionship that seemed to transcend their brief acquaintance. It was during one of these visits that 3 people in expensive suits arrived at Marcus's room, along with a man who introduced himself as an attorney. Emily started to leave, but Marcus asked her to stay. "Mr. Reeves," the attorney began, "we've been searching for you for 3 years. Your grandfather, Richard Reeves, passed away 18 months ago. He left explicit instructions in his will that his entire estate should go to you, his only living heir. But we had no way to contact you. Marcus looked stunned. My grandfather died? I didn't know. We were estranged. I haven't spoken to my family since I enlisted. He never stopped looking for you, the attorney said gently. He wanted to reconcile but respected your decision to make your own way. His estate is valued at approximately $200 million. It's yours, along with a letter he left for you. Emily felt the world tilt. The soldier she had bought coffee for, the man who had asked about payment plans for a $4 drink, was the heir to a fortune worth hundreds of millions. After the attorneys left, Marcus opened the letter with shaking hands and read it silently, tears streaming down his face. When he finished, he handed it to Emily. The letter was from a grandfather expressing regret for past conflicts, pride in Marcus's decision to serve his country, and hope that the inheritance would allow Marcus to continue making a difference in the world in whatever way he chose. It ended with, "You always valued service over wealth, people over profit. I hope this money allows you to live those values on a larger scale. Make me proud, Marcus." I always was proud of you. Marcus looked at Emily. I don't want this money. I don't need it. I have everything I need in the military, in serving my country. Then use it for something that matters, Emily said gently. Use it to serve on a bigger scale. Your grandfather wanted you to make a difference. Honor that. Over the following months, as Marcus recovered and processed this unexpected inheritance, he and Emily grew closer. He extended his leave to handle estate matters, and Emily helped him envision how to use the wealth in ways that aligned with his values. Marcus established the Reeves Foundation, dedicated to supporting veterans' health care, funding scholarships for children of military families, and providing resources for first responders. He donated millions to hospitals, including the one where Emily worked, to improve emergency services. But more than the money, Marcus had found something else. A woman who had seen him as worthy of kindness when he had nothing, who had bought him coffee and conversation without knowing he was anything more than a soldier on leave. Emily had valued him for who he was, not what he had. 8 months after buying him that coffee, Marcus asked Emily to marry him in that same coffee shop, at the same table where they had first talked. You gave me coffee when I was a stranger with no money, Marcus said, down on one knee. You treated me with dignity and respect when I had nothing to offer in return. You saw me as a person worth knowing before you knew about any fortune. That's the kind of person I want to spend my life with. He held up a simple ring. I'm still a soldier. I'm still the same man you bought coffee for. The money just means I can make a bigger difference now. But the only difference that really matters to me is having you by my side. Will you marry me? Emily said yes through happy tears, and they were married 3 months later in a simple ceremony at the military base chapel, surrounded by Marcus's unit and Emily's fellow nurses. Marcus continued his military service, refusing to let the inheritance change his commitment to serving his country. Emily continued her work as an ER nurse, though the Reeves Foundation's donation to the hospital meant she and her colleagues now had the equipment and resources they had always needed. Together, they used the fortune to make the kind of difference they both believed in, supporting those who served, helping those who healed, and creating opportunities for others to find purpose in service. At their first anniversary dinner, back at that same coffee shop, Emily raised her cup in a toast. To the best $4 I ever spent. To the woman who saw a soldier, not a bank account, Marcus replied. To the kindness that changed everything. Sometimes the smallest acts of kindness ripple out in ways we never expect, touching lives and changing destinies. And sometimes the person we help in passing becomes the person who walks beside us for life, reminding us that what we give freely often returns to us in ways more valuable than we ever imagined. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more tales of unexpected kindness, hidden identities revealed, and discovering that the greatest wealth is in the connections we make with authentic, generous hearts. Comment below and share about a time when a small act of kindness led to something unexpected, or when someone's generosity changed your life. Your story could inspire someone else to extend kindness to a stranger today.